The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello there, and welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm sorry, my co-host currently is unavailable. I believe he's being sworn into office, so it looks like for a little bit it's going to be you and I. Thank you for watching and tuning in to 2015. This is episode 15-01, so it's going to be an interesting show, to say the least. Let's start out right away with last night's event. Put together by City Councilor Linda Pereira as the Fall River Alive event, or the healing event, and we have to ask ourselves, how necessary was this? And I firmly believe that this was a necessary item, in the sense of trying to make Fall River, for the lack of a better expression, a better place. It hasn't been easy for Fall River throughout this entire recall process, and people took it very personal. I made a comment on Channel 6 last night that Fall River is diseased. Ooh, did that get some nasty commentary from people? And you have to ask yourself, why so nasty? Fall River has been diseased for some time. It goes back to the cultivar eras, and even maybe prior to that. We've never done anything that's been forward-looking. We've never done anything to be progressive. We've never done anything to look at what is actually happening in Fall River and how this is going to happen to make a change for Fall River in and of itself. And I think that's one of the biggest problems, is that Fall River just has never been able to look at what's happening, what's going on, and who's going to do what for Fall River. I looked at last night's event, and contrary to my colleague over at WSAR, who I have a great deal of respect for, Donna, I don't think that it was very spiritual. I don't think that it was a healing event. I think that we had, the cantors, the priests, we had the ministers, and they all said their platitudes and their, they said their prayers, and that was wonderful. But when I walked into that event, what did I see? I saw politicians. Nothing but politicians. This reeked more to me of a political kickoff event than it did of a healing event. Maybe that's not a good thing to say. Maybe that's not something we should talk about at length. But the truth be known, and I just didn't feel as though it was a healing event. I saw more political people there, and it was good to see some of them present. City Councilor Mike Mioza did show up. He ran against Mayor Sutter, and that kind of showed that there was hopefully some healing going on. But I think we're going to see some more shenanigans come out very shortly. And I honestly believe that the hate that is brewing, or has grown here in Fall River because of this recall and because of this process, will continue to do so until the people are ready to see that Fall River deserves better than what it's been getting for 25 plus years. We reward failure. We regularly reward failure. And, the CDA hearings are starting, and we got to say, why are we funding departments? Why are we funding programs which are absolute 100% failures? Now, I had a meeting with Michael Dion last year, as I made very clear here, and he doesn't feel they're failures. And, he's in a position where he has to make his program look the best it possibly can. But when you set guidelines or, marks to meet but you don't take into consideration the losses, you're not setting any benchmarks. Okay? You're just saying, oh, he met 50, so guess what? He met what he was supposed to do, so he keeps getting his money. Yeah, but 50 at what cost? Did he meet the 50 that was necessary in loss of 1,000 or in loss of 100? In which case you have a net loss. We don't need to look at what you've attained. We need to look at what the net attainment is. It's not a good thing to have it the way it is. I'll be very honest. The recall process was a campaign that has taken a significant toll on me, and I've never had a campaign take a toll on me before. Never. And I hopefully will never have one again. But, you know, we have to realize that time is very short in what we do. Fall River is on the cusp of what we should have, but we cannot attain. The disease in Fall River is permeating. It grows. People get jobs in Fall River based upon who they know, not what they know, not how qualified they are. And I'm seeing this already with, you know, people who are leaving city government, who've done nothing but got their job because the previous mayor owed them a political favor. I mean, a great loss, haha, big joke, to the city will be Perry Long. Okay? Bye-bye, Mr. Long, who got his job as a political patronage job. This was a job that was given by the then mayor to Perry Long to do something that didn't exist. His claim to fame is, well, when I started, there was 5 or 6, you know, neighborhood associations. Now we have 15. 15 neighborhood associations which tout their own political beliefs, tout their own political candidates, and are basically a group of political kiss asses that have never existed before. And why? Why do we have or have a need for such a group of people? I don't see a need. And, you know, that really bothers me. Bothers me to a great deal that people feel that we have to have these neighborhood associations so that they can tout what they need. Why do we need another layer of advocacy for a position that should have already been met by virtue of the job performance of the people that are in there? I don't know. And I have to ask myself, you know, is this what I want in Fall River? Is this what I want? I don't know. It's very, very crazy, to say the least. But something that I found is that the hate mongering that goes on in Fall River, for no reason at all, is because everyone takes it personal. And I've said this numerous times here, and I will say it numerous times again. Business is business, personal is personal, never the twain shall meet. Maybe you don't understand that. Okay? Because I don't like your candidate doesn't mean I don't like you. And even if I don't like your position, again, doesn't mean that I don't like you. Business is business. But when you start making things personal, then you can never see that solution on the other side, because you lock yourself into the position that you don't want to hear it. And I guess, you know, it's scary because I have a lot of friends who grew up in Fall River, went to school here in Fall River, and left and never want to come back and never will. And every time they have come back to visit a family member or something else, they were glad they left. And that in and of itself is scary. I woke up to find something very interesting this morning, in that there was a post on Facebook, the dreaded Facebook, that just about brought a tear to my eye. And I printed it out. Let me grab it for you real quick. Sorry about that, because I had left it on the other desk. And this is from somebody who used to live in Fall River, and who has seen what Fall River was and what it's become. And I'm not going to read you the whole letter because it's rather lengthy. But I am going to go to an area that came up to what this person has done for themselves, and I'm not going to state their name, because when that person was here in Fall River, that person wasn't doing so well. And he posts, he's sorry for the long message, but I'm proud of myself, and since I have no one to speak to, I shall talk to myself. As always, I could never sleep at night. I like to write, though, so I feel good about myself, and it is what it is, as someone used to say to me a few years ago while I was helping run a campaign in Massachusetts. A wise man that even myself wanted to see be elected because he worked so hard being honest and real. It's sad that the people, and trust me, there were a lot of people that said they would be there to help, but sadly didn't end up being there for, and he actually mentioned my name, C.J. Ferry. That should have been because he at least stood for the people and wanted a real change and mean every word that he said. Sadly, a lot of people did not at that time stick by his side when he needed them. With having a broken leg at the time, because if you remember during my campaign last time, again, I had a broken leg. He went out and did all the work that he could to represent himself. People that he trusted to be there for him, and those other certain people, not mentioning any names, saying they would be there for him, I've seen that they were not. I know that is not fair and should not have turned out that way, but it did. C.J. Ferry, who did all that he could and would do anything he could for anyone, did not receive much help from those promised and pronounced important people. But he was always there for them. You better believe it, because I was there along with him, watching and learning and speaking. The long and the short of it is, life is and can be unfair, and no matter how much people will try to knock you down, just because those people choose to not make or try to better their own lives, just know you can make a difference and can change the world, even if only one little speck at a time. Once again, if you read this, sorry for so long. That in itself said a lot about somebody who left Fall River because the people of Fall River don't want to see the truth and they don't want to hear it. And I'm not speaking about that because my name was mentioned, and I'm not speaking about it because it mentioned me in general. I'm saying it because the people of Fall River are so ignorant to their bliss that they've created for themselves that they can't get out of their own way. And it's time for Fall River to get out of its own way. We have a new mayor, and I already have problems with some of the things the mayor has said. I already have problems with some of the things the mayor has failed to do. And we're all going to have problems, but we got to at least give the gentleman a chance to do something. Do I think 6 months to start a change is kind of politically convenient? 6 months puts us into the new budget year. How politically expedient is that? We don't have to address anything until the next budget. It's kind of sad. No, what's really kind of sad is this show's becoming more of a commentary than a news program. But it is what it is at this point. Chip is out. Chip was elected to be a member of the retirement board. And Mayor Sutter made a comment on newsmakers on Fox and PRI, Channel 12 and Fox 64, in that when asked about the retirement and the health care, he said that it will be a bitter pill to swallow. We had a health care program in Fall River that was 12% under budget, somewhere around there, 10, 12%. And they were doing a good job with it. And then they went to the city, I shouldn't say the city administrator, Kathy Ann Viveris, and the mayor, then Will Flanagan, decided we're going to the GIC program. We're going to go because that's an effective program. Such an effective program that our seniors, the people who can least afford it, are paying $500 and $600 to get a prescription. This is hateful, in my opinion. So how much more of a bitter pill has to be swallowed, Mayor Sutter? We have a retirement program which is unfunded, underfunded, whatever you want to call it. This is a statewide retirement program that was supposed to be fully financed by 2010. The gentleman who created this retirement package, this retirement program, said by 2010, it shall be funded. So why isn't it funded? Why? Because you, the people of Fall River, have elected nitwits who've decided that it is better to spend the money on other programs, whether statewide or locally, than to fund this pension program. And the problem that the people don't understand about these pensions, because a lot of people say, oh, well, you know, pensions, they're all good, blah, blah, blah. No. In Massachusetts, unlike many other states, city, county, state employees do not pay into Social Security. They don't. And because they don't pay into Social Security, their pensions have become their primary source of income in the retirement years. And that's why this is almost hateful and despicable, because we have a pension system that's unsustainable. And then when people say, oh, well, just pay it up, pay it up, pay it up. Well, the problem is if we pay it up, we have to lose jobs and we have to increase taxes. Oh, but we can't increase taxes and no, we can't put anyone out of work. The problem is those are the bitter pills that have to be swallowed. Those are the bitter pills we have to look at. We have to say, at what point does the city of Fall River stop being the employment agency for the friends of the elected officials? How come when the city council had options to vote on things for, let's just say, DCM, that when privatization came up as an option, which has worked in many communities, by the way, when that came up as an option, nobody voted for it. Why? Because they have a lot of political friends and family members who work in DCM. Did any of them recuse themselves? No. And that's the problem we have. We allow hate and disgust and other craziness to go on in Fall River that we shouldn't have going on. And the stork has delivered my co-host. My commentary has been long and lengthy, Chip, at 18 minutes, so I think it's time for you to start saying something here.
Well, I don't know what you were talking about. I apologize for being late, CJ. I tried to call you, but we started the meeting early at Government Center on Healthcare, and we had Blue Cross reps there, and the meeting was extremely protracted. By the time I got done and looked down at my phone, it was already a minute or so before 11, and the meeting was just about wrapping up. And so I apologize, but unfortunately, life goes on, and the city employees, we have to look out for their health care. They've been battered and abused with this health care over the past 5 years as a Flanagan administration. And hopefully, after today's meeting and with this new administration, we could begin to put back some of what he took out. So,
well, that's what I was talking about a little bit. I was talking about the bitter pill to swallow. Yeah. Against the retirees and the retirement pension plan. And, when an elderly woman has to pay $500+ for her prescription, I think that's, despicable and shameful. I don't even want to go back into that, but, I was talking about how Fall River is diseased, and it's a disease that, they just can't get away from themselves about. And last night's event was, to me, more of a political event than it was a healing event. I'm beginning to believe in the Chip Kamara Kumbaya method. I think that works best than anyone else. So, but with there's 10 minutes left of the show, and I know you got some stuff to talk about, being elected to the retirement board and everything else, and I think the people need to hear about those things. So we're going to ship right over to you.
Well, thank you, CJ. Feel free to jump in.
Always do.
I was, I was elected to the retirement board by the municipal retirees, and I am I am honored by that. I ran against some strong opposition, people who have been who are well known, and I will do everything I can to represent all the retirees in the city to the best of my ability, as I do with everything. And obviously, I have been the Public Employee Committee representative for healthcare for as long as it's been a PEC rep. I hate to say this, I don't want to be the negative person. I don't think it's negative. I'm just a realist. I think unity is highly overrated. I mean, it's fine if it makes you feel fuzzy and all warm all over to sit in a circle and sing Kumbaya. That's good. But I just believe in just being honest and having some saying what you feel, and you're going to disagree, and you can disagree without being disagreeable. My philosophy is, if I don't like you, I can deal with you on a business level, professional level, but I don't have to go out and have a beer with you. I don't have to go out and have lunch with you. And if more people didn't personalize things, we could get a lot more business done. We don't personalize our auto repair. We take it to the guy who can fix our car the best for the cheapest amount of money. And, it just seems ironic to me that in politics we have to have these kind of things. And it was ironic because Bill Gates posted, actually gave a little speech at a high school and said something that I actually thought was quite good. He gave 11 rules to these high school kids who, what school will never teach you. And one is that, the world is not fair, and you better realize it. And, don't feel too good about yourself until you've actually accomplished something. So, we have too much of this hand-holding, as far as I'm concerned, and pretending that we like each other. Then we go off in different directions and attempt to assassinate each other. Well, I've said time and time again, this nation was built on different opinions. The Continental Congress had the most contentious debate in the history of this planet. There were people being called traitors and people being threatened and to be shot and everything else. And look what happened. America. So, it's not the end of the world when people have different opinions. It's just the way we deal with it. Why do we have to deal on a personal level with political issues? Why do we have to call people's families names and call people names and be defamatory about people when, let's just talk about the issue. If I don't think you're right, I'm going to say you're not right, and I'm going to say why. And if I think it's a dumb opinion, I'll say it. Don't be offended. I'm talking about that very narrow context. I mean, I've had disagreements with some of my best friends, and if I say, look, I think that's really stupid, I'm not saying you're stupid. I'm saying this idea is stupid. We can disagree, and we can move forward. We don't have to be friends. All we have to have is mutual respect. That's why I love the samurai era in Japan, because they had very simple rule. The Code of Bushido. And the first thing was rectitude, first precept, which means you get what you deserve. And if what you deserve is commendation, you got it. If what you deserve was condemnation, you got it. And if what you deserve to get your head chopped off, you got that too. But another big precept in the Code of Bushido was respect, and they were very polite to each other and very respectful to each other, even when they had disagreements, until it got to the point where somebody had to chop somebody's head off. And that's just the way it is. That's just reality. Let's not pretend that people aren't human, because they are. And as Mark Twain, Samuel Clemens, said it so accurately, man is the only animal that can blush and the only one that needs to. Because we're the only animal on this planet that kills for sport that hurts people for pleasure. All other animals kill for survival. It's part of their natural selection. It's part of the balance of nature. Man is the only animal that takes advantage of other members of his species for personal gain, not for survival. So that's the reason that George Orwell was right when he said, people sleep peacefully in their beds at night because rough men stand ready to do violence on their behalf. So you can hold hands all you want, but if you think that we could have total peace, you know, I got a bridge to sell you. So, because, you know, man is man, and if everybody looked the same, if we were all clones, I truly believe that the guy on the corner, on the east corner, would want the west corner just because he wanted it. Because it's human nature. Unfortunately, man, with his ability to reason, also got the ability to be unreasonable. And we've seen far too much of that. And I think it's just time to say, look, let's all follow a nice philosophy. Do you do what you want? I do what I want. If I don't like you, you don't have to go out and have a beer with me. You know, we should be able to work together regardless of our personal feelings. And if you don't like it, and if you don't like me, great. Because, you know, I don't affect your life, you don't affect my life. Why do we have to get personal? Because then if you get personal, then it degenerates into something that completely leaves the subject that began. That's why the old adage, don't discuss religion or politics.
How true, Chip. And you know, Chip, the thing is that, you know, the show started out as a commentary today, and, you know, I'm sorry for the poor, maybe show quality today. But I will tell you one thing. You're right there, because look at how this year started out. January 1st. Not a little more than an hour into the new year, a young man was shot. A young man that I have my family ties with, okay? And people were broadcasting on Facebook, that evil Facebook, about an hour and a half beforehand, that we're going to start the year off with a bang. Well, I guess they did. And since that time, I have listened to the scanner and been paying attention to what's going on. And there's more crime and stabbings and everything else going on in Fall River. But crime is down. Crime is down. So, you know, you have to say crime is down. Again, people have just taken everything and made everything so personal.
Yeah, well, maybe this show needed to be a commentary. It's the first real show of the, you know, and now Friday we'll have a, you know, we can talk about some issues, but I think some commentary about reflecting over the past year. That's part of the process, and you know, it's a reflection not only of the past year, but of all the years I've spent on this planet, and I found that, unfortunately, contrary to popular belief, all people are not innately good.
This is true.
We have some evil people on this planet, and you know, that's just the reality. And you know, we have to, you know, and as much as I respect their right to have that, it's the reason I didn't go. I just, you know, I think,
and you know, I went last night, as I said, and I found it more of a political kickoff event. And again, you know, in deference to my colleague over at WSAR, I think Donna, you know, she was there. She didn't come up and say hello to me, which is okay. But there was more politicking going on than anything else. And it just wasn't where we needed to be. But believe it or not, Chip, I mean, for you, this is short, but for me, it's long. And we're at the end of our show. So let's have your final bits of wisdom.
Everybody have a great day. We'll see you Friday, and I will be here on time.
I hope so, Chip. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.